Hey folks, Sega Sonic fan here, just showing a real quick repair. This is actually, should be a pretty easy one. And I'm just showing it because it's kind of interesting. This is a AC remote controlled AC outlet. And this is kind of a, pretty cheap one. But I absolutely love these because, these are unfortunately quickly being replaced by IoT devices that connect to your phone and all kinds of annoying stuff. Folks, I really don't like IoT. I really don't like electronics constantly relying on people's cell phones. Privacy concerns aside, it's just really annoying. I don't want to be on my phone all day, every day. So I do really love these. I hope they continue to make them, but I'm kind of concerned that they won't. They're already being kind of phased out. But you can get these at like some discount places. They're pretty popular around the holidays for remote controlling Christmas lights and stuff. And what's cool about this is it comes with a very nice remote. I'm also a huge fan of these membrane interface remotes. I think they're far more sort of enjoyable and easier on the hands, and just the interface is much nicer. So a big fan of them. The one thing that kind of sucks about this one though is it does have a hard to replace 12 volt. This is actually a 12 volt battery. It's very strange, but that's just how it is. So how these work is they use an NRF 2.4 or 2.5 gigahertz frequency, and this is the frequency. This is the chip that operates at that frequency. And there's basically like a, as far as I understand it, I don't understand it super well, but I think it's kind of a UART, wireless interface. And this, of course, is the antenna. And when it gets the data from the remote, it then feeds it to this controller chip here. This is a 7805 volt step-down regulator. And feeds it to that controller chip, and then that controller chip then controls this giant relay, which turns on your AC outlet. Now this is, I believe, it's a capacitor, an AC capacitor, and then of course you have your large DC capacitor here, and you're going to have some beefy diodes over here, which is your making up your bridge rectifier. So that's sort of a pretty simple rundown. And then of course this button here is a pairing button, which again from this chip, this microcontroller control chip, will pair with your remote, because the NRF protocol can have like something like 16 different devices, at least. I think it's actually more than that. Anyway, I went ahead and plugged this in very, very carefully. Make sure to be very careful when working with AC mains. Full disclaimers, you do this at your own risk. If you die or electrocute yourself, it's not my fault. So you want to be real careful, though, when you're working with AC mains. In the case of this, I plugged it in, and you don't want to plug it in with the, you could take sort of something like this and plug it into that first, and then plug this adapter in, so you're not actually touching anything. And when I did that and I hit the button here, I saw a little tiny spark over by the capacitor, the large blue AC capacitor there. So that was a pretty good sign of what might be wrong here, especially because this is an intermittent failure. And so if I take this under my microscope, hopefully I can show you all what's going on here. Keep in mind, I never took this apart previously. This is a factory type deal. But if we look under the microscope here, you should be able to see there is a disconnected joint there. And this is why I'm always a big fan of reflowing solder joints for large pads like that. Some people are kind of naysayers of that sort of thing, but I'm a big fan of it because it's far more likely with high voltage pads and larger pads like that you're going to have those kind of cracked solder joints, or even just something that isn't reflowed properly. So in order to fix this, it should be as easy as literally applying solder to that one point. Now, since I'm already in here though, I'm gonna reflow that area as well as any other sort of high voltage areas, just to be on the safe side. And the plug here itself actually looks fine. I mean, pretty much everything else looks pretty darn good. The relay over here I'm going to reflow, as you can see. And yeah, I definitely want to look up more on the NRF protocol. I'm going to do some designs with it down the road, since I'm such a big fan of it, since it doesn't require IoT, cell phone nonsense. It's pretty cool stuff, and it's very affordable too. You can get like NRF modules for like $3 or something. It's pretty insanely cheap. And I'm just going to reflow stuff here, but it looks like this was just sort of a factory oversight. Something that even, I think this actually did originally work when I got it, so it was just, you know, a little bit loose. And that'll happen, of course, when you buy budget electronics, especially stuff that works off of AC mains. And, you know, quality controls aren't always there when you're saving a buck or two. So, yeah, it's a good excuse to have the soldering iron ready. And that should do it. I'm not going to reflow more than that. It's pretty thorough. And I'm not going to do this on camera, but I'll just report back. I don't have a way to get the camera down to where I'm plugging this in. But let's see. Nothing's blowing up. That's a good sign, huh? Ah, totally turns on now. Beautiful. Maybe I can get see if I can get the camera out of the tripod here. So here it is. And now it turns on. Voila! So there you go, folks. Sometimes a repair is as easy as a simple joint being reflowed. And this is something that doesn't have to go in the e-waste now. Keep in mind when you're doing stuff with AC mains, a lot of times the cases are actually like glued together and really hard to work on. In the case of this particular item, it used tri-wing screws, which for those gaming fans out there, that is the type of screw that Nintendo has been very fond of as a security screw. And tri-wing just means there's like three. It's kind of like that instead of a plus sign like a Phillips. And it's just a way to deter people from opening stuff. And I'm sure you can understand why manufacturers want to deter people from opening things that use AC mains, because people can get electrocuted and hurt. So again, that's why I say my disclaimer, don't do this at home. Or if you do, don't blame me if something bad happens to you. And you should always wear, you know, electrically insulated gloves when working with AC mains and all that good stuff. Notice the time I've been working on this, it's not plugged into anything. So, yeah, anyway, I'm going to put this back together. Looks like the case might be a little bit fidgety, but nothing too difficult. And then I'll put the two two tri-wing screws in there, and I'll be good. And yeah, hopefully this video was helpful for you, and I hope I encourage people to, you know, fix stuff around the house and save a few bucks, and it's good for the environment to reuse things too. There we go. It's all snapped together now. So it's actually two tri-wing screws and some clips. Anyway, that's it for this video. Have fun repairing, folks. This is Sega Sonic Fan, signing out.